bop and unlike me too. No roof on my top and my babe see-through. Hating on the pen, don't stop, shit ain't gon' feed you. I been all on my grind, so why I need you? Baby girl love my bop and unlike me too. No roof on my top and my babe see-through. Hating on the pen, don't stop, shit ain't gon' feed you. I been all on my grind, so why I need you? Big flex, my swole up. Double cup and I'm pulled up. Niggas hating like hold up. What's the problem? I'm pulled up. Big flex, my swole up. Hard body, they fold up. Shawty say I done glowed up. Double text on my phone up. Fuck with your boy, I'm the man of the year. I'm not a fan of your peers. Serve him a fade, I'ma hand him the shears. He not the man of your peers. Heart of a lion, I'm trampling fears. I love the man in the mirror. Cry me a river to stand in the tears. You better stand in the clear. I'm going crazy, niggas fugazi. How would they ever?
Strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Well. I guess it really does not matter who the host is. Anyways, today is Monday, January the 24th of 2022. Yeah, just in case you did not know that, that's exactly what it is. It is January 24th of 2022. Rumors of my death have been greatly exaggerated. No, I am not dead. Might have felt like I was dying, but I'm definitely not dead. But I am here hanging out with you. We are broadcasting live from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM. And then we're also hanging out with our friends and colleagues at that other place that we do stuff at.
Radio.
So let's talk about it. Where have I been? What have I been doing? All that kind of fun stuff. So seems like some people really tend to enjoy the replays that we had going on. So that's always important. But here's the thing. When I lose my voice, it doesn't do a lot of good for me to show up because guess what? I can't talk. And if the majority of the thing that we do here is me talking, well, can't do a lot of that if my voice is gone. Just something to think about. So that's why I was not here over the last few days. Not that I was dead or anything. It was just my voice was gone and can't really do much without it. But anyways, enough about that. Nobody cares about that. What we're here for today is talk about what's going on inside of the world of news, what's going on with you. And apparently me coughing into your ear is another side of what I was here to do as well. But anyway, so let's start talking right away about some of the things that are going. I'll have my finger on the cough button going forward so we don't run into that again. So let's talk about some of the trends that were going on inside of the world of the multiverse of what was happening over the weekend. Saturday was National Celebration of Life Day. Also was trending over the weekend was Bengals, Titans, 49ers, and Packers all landed in Twitter's top 10 on Saturday as the teams fought to extend the season one more week. Final scores, we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Sunday was National Handwriting Day. Tom Brady was trending Sunday after earning his first unsportsmanlike conduct penalty of his career. Rams, Buccaneers, Bills, and Chiefs landed in Twitter's top 10 trends on Sunday as the four teams fought for their chance to head to the next weekend's championship game. And the final scores, we'll talk about that a little bit later on. So that was what was going on for the trends over the weekend. So there you go. Anyway, so a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of stuff to do, a lot of stuff to think about. So we'll go through a lot of that as we are talking this morning. So, as you might be aware or not be aware, the way that it goes, it's something like this. We talk about the things that are going on inside of the world in the news, and from that particular point moving forward, we'll go safety in the news and safety, vice versa. We'll bring in some professionals who are talking about some things that are going on. If you want to talk about and let us know what exactly is going on inside of the world, all you need to do is jump into callinradio.com. That is callinradio.com, and that will actually jump in, let us know exactly what is going on, and then, we go from there. So it gives you the opportunity to text, gives you the opportunity for voicemail, gives you an opportunity for even a video message if you're so inclined to do so. All that is callinradio.com to be able to move forward with that. So there you go. That's all the information we got. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in the professionals for them to tell you what is going on inside of the world of the news. So let's bring in our friends at Feature Story News right now.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. The US State Department's ordering family members of diplomats serving in the US Embassy in Kiev to leave the country. It's citing the continued threat from Russia to Ukraine. Jagruti Dave reports from Washington.
As well as families of American personnel, the State Department's travel advisory also told US citizens in Ukraine that they should consider departing now using commercial or other privately available transportation options. The advisory said there are reports Russia is planning significant military action in Ukraine. This comes as US Secretary of State Anthony Blinken warned on CNN that if a single additional Russian force enters Ukraine in an aggressive way, then that would trigger a swift, a severe and a united response from the US and from Europe. Mr. Blinken's talks last week with his Russian counterpart in Geneva ended without a breakthrough.
Western officials are holding talks with the Taliban in Norway. 3 days of discussions are due to cover human rights, governance and the humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan. The UK government's launching an investigation into allegations of Islamophobia in the Conservative Party. Nusrat Ghani, a Muslim Conservative MP, claims she was told she was sacked as a junior minister in 2020 because of her faith. Downing Street denies those claims. Education Secretary Nadeem Zahawi says an investigation run by the Cabinet Office will establish the facts.
The Prime Minister spoke to Nusrat last night and has asked the Cabinet Office to look at this very serious allegation. I've been in the party since the 80s. I've grown up in this party. I've been a volunteer, an activist, member of Parliament and minister. I have not experienced anything like that.
Japan is expanding COVID restrictions as nationwide cases top 50,000 for the first time. Half the country's population is already under fresh restrictions as the government tries to stem the spread of the Omicron variant. Phoebe Amoroso reports from Tokyo.
As COVID cases continue to rocket to new highs, government discussions are underway to expand the restrictions. The decision will be formalized on Tuesday and is expected to bring as many as 32 of the nation's 47 prefectures under a so-called quasi-state of emergency. This allows prefectural governments to ask restaurants and bars to shorten their hours and even to stop serving alcohol, but the implementation is far from uniform across the country. The resurgence of the virus is having a knock-on effect on support for the government. According to a Kyodo News survey, approval for Prime Minister Fumio Kishida's cabinet stood at just under 56% on Sunday, down 4.1 points since last month. Kishida came into office in October, vowing to overcome the pandemic and revitalize Japan's economy.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks, taking another look today at preparations for the Winter Olympics in Beijing. Athletes, their coaches and support staff continue to arrive in the Chinese capital, with the Games set to begin a week from Friday. And the Chinese authorities are going to extraordinary lengths to try and prevent COVID-19 not only from overshadowing the event, but also from spreading across China as a result of it. Patrick Falk is FSN's Beijing bureau chief.
It's often referred to as the bubble, but it's not really a single bubble as such. The closed loop is really a series of bubbles, including the Olympic Village, including hotels where athletes and other participants are going to be staying, as well as the competition venues. And they're all interconnected via designated shuttles across 3 competition zones. Remember, some of the competitions happening within Beijing itself, but there are also a lot of alpine competitions that are taking place in Yanqing and Zhengzhou, which are north of Beijing. And the idea, of course, is that athletes and coaches and officials and so on and so forth are going to be kept within this closed loop system, and they're not actually going to have any contact with the rest of the country.
A total of 11,000 people are due to travel to Beijing for the Games. They're COVID tested as soon as they land, and then they enter that bubble where they will be tested every day for the duration of the Olympics. And we'll have full coverage of the run-up to the Games and then the Winter Olympics themselves from our team in China. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
To recap the top stories, the US is ordering family members of diplomats in the US embassy in Kiev to leave Ukraine. Western officials are holding talks with the Taliban in Norway. The UK government's launching an investigation into claims of Islamophobia in the Conservative Party. And Japan is expanding COVID restrictions as nationwide daily cases top 50,000 for the first time. That's the latest feature story news. Ollie Barrett reporting.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
These days, it can be hard to find and hire the right candidates for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs made it easier to find the people that you want to talk to faster and for free. I have to tell you, even before they ever became a sponsor here on Safety FM, we have used LinkedIn Jobs to help find the people that we have here on Safety FM. It's an easy service to use. Create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 770 million people. Focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience and use screening questions to get your role in front of only the most qualified candidates. Then use the simple tools on LinkedIn Jobs to quickly filter and prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know that every week nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/safetyfm. That's linkedin.com/safetyfm to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. And don't forget to mention that Jay Allen sent you.
Keyboard Cat, Hamilton the Pug, and Toast Meets World. These are some of the internet's most beloved pets. And they all have one thing in common. Their stories started in a shelter. Start your story. Adopt a dog or cat today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Training that pet to play the keyboard, that's optional. Start a story. Adopt a shelter or rescue pet today. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Okay, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. So mommy's going to teach you how to dress yourself. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, then pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole or you have to start all over. Socks going first, then shoes, right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops, the rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears. Got it? Why are your pants on your head?
Most parenting's hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. Visit 2min2x.org to find out more. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
How's it going? I'm having a stroke. Are you going to shake my hand? I'm having a stroke. Wow, you're not even moving your arm. I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear. Look for FAST. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911 immediately. Know the sudden signs. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
The Stones are bringing me a baby brother. We can do this together.
All right, let's go.
Storks know how to keep kids safe. Do you?
What?
Oh my gosh, you don't know.
I know.
You don't? Oh man, you laugh when you're uncomfortable.
No. Making sure your child is in the right car seat is one of the steps to safer travel.
I will rock this.
You will rock this.
To know for sure that your child is in the right car seat for their age and size, visit safercar.gov/the right seat.
Cool. Very cool.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
This show is almost as enjoyable as hearing the sound of the toilet flush. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Okay, there you go. 16 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out and doing the things that we do on this lovely Monday. So anyways, let's start talking right away about the things that are going on inside of the world of the news, and we'll start moving and grooving and getting through some of those things. A federal mandate now that requires all truckers entering into the United States and Canada or Mexico to be fully vaccinated against COVID. The Canadian Trucking Alliance estimates that the measure could take about 16,000 peeps out of commission. So there you go. So just some things to start thinking about as we're talking. Don't worry, we're still going to talk about our main story. We'll get to that in just a little bit. But think about that. So this is the federal mandate now requires entering the United States from Canada or Mexico that the people need to be fully vaccinated. So it'll be something interesting to see as things continue to move forward here in the next coming weeks. That's for sure. Anyways, let's continue talking about some other things. Bitcoin price took a slide on Friday, losing 12% of its value in a single day. It lost nearly half of its value from the peak in just of the last 2 months. So some people are out there, of course, wondering what will be the future of some of the cryptocurrencies that are out there. And that's something to talk about when we start talking about portfolios and all that. So with that being said, why don't we actually take a listen real quick to what Johnny Smalls has to say about the Market Beat Minute.
Here's your Market Beat Minute for Monday, January 24th, 2022. The selling intensified on Wall Street last week as earnings come into sharp focus. While the bulk of S&P 500 companies are reporting better than expected, the outlook is weakening under the strain of inflation and supply chain hurdles. With the index down more than 7% from its recent high, it looks like the broad market is in for at least a 10% correction, if not more. The tech-heavy NASDAQ composite is already down more than 10% and heading lower. This week could seal the deal on major market correction. Not only is the FOMC expected to be hawkish with its statements, but there are key reads on consumer confidence, housing, business spending, GDP, and consumer-level inflation, as well as dozens of earnings reports from S&P 500 companies. You can get the inside track from Wall Street's brightest minds delivered directly to your inbox every day at marketbeatminute.com.
Okay, thank you, Johnny Smalls, for that one, letting us know exactly what was going on inside of the market, because that's going to be something that we need to continue to track. Talking about the market, let's talk about some entrepreneurs that are out there. Entrepreneur and Shark Tank investor Mark Cuban has launched a revolutionary online prescription drugstore. Cost Plus Drug Company promises no middleman, no price games, and huge drug savings. The business model takes the wholesale price, adds a 15% profit margin, and a small fee for filling a prescription through their pharmacy partners. The venture does have some limitations. The official website says that it carries about 100 common generic drugs, but that brand-specific drugs are currently unavailable. So think about that if you're looking for anything. That is Mark Cuban's latest venture. I'm sure it will go places that you probably don't expect. A truck carrying nearly 100 monkeys crashed in Pennsylvania on Friday. For a while, all but three were recovered, sending local law enforcement on a wild monkey chase, no pun intended there. By Sunday evening, all monkeys were accounted for. The truck is believed to have been transporting the primates to an animal testing facility. So some things to think about as we are talking this morning. Some other things going on, of course, inside of the world of the news. People want to know always what was happening when it comes to the world of the box office, so I'll go ahead and talk about those. Let's give you the top 10. Licorice Pizza came in at the number 10 spot with $683,000. West Side Story at number 9 with $698,000. At number 8, The King's Daughter with $750,000. At number 7, American Underdog, $1.2 million. At number 6, The 355 with $1.6 million. At number 5, The King's Man with $1.7 million. At number 4, Redeeming Love with $3.7 million. That was new to the box office. At number 3, Sing Part 2 with $5.7 million. Stayed at number 3. At number 2 was Scream with $12.4 million. That was actually falling down from the number 1 spot last week. So now it went back to number 2. So taking over one more time, Spider-Man No Way Home at $14.1 million.
We are now video streaming the Rated R Safety Show. I don't know why our host has a face for radio. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so there you go. Some interesting stuff always going on inside of that. So let's talk about this because this actually did occur. So some information here. Arnold Schwarzenegger was involved in a multi-vehicle car accident on Friday, leaving a woman with what was being called serious injuries. Schwarzenegger was driving a Yukon SUV when collided with a red Prius on an LA Sunset Boulevard. His SUV started to roll and ended up, on top of the Prius and then continued rolling onto a Porsche. The woman behind the wheel of the Prius was taken to the hospital in an ambulance. No one charges have been laid out for alcohol or anything that's been believed to have been a factor. A rep for Schwarzenegger said that he is fine. The only concern right now is a woman who was injured. So there you go. That's some information that's going on right there. So thoughts and prayers, of course, always with people when it comes to those kind of things. America's Funniest Home Videos, the family TV institution that Bob Saget helped launch back in 1989, will pay tribute to the original host for the rest of the season 32 with regular segments showcasing the memorable moments that at the time when he was on the series back on the ABC back in the late 80s, early 90s. AFV will already honored Saget on January the 16th episode, a week after his death at the age of 65. But executive producer Vin Biona decided that last week that there is too much prime PG-rated Saget material in the vault from his 8-year run not to share more on the air. So we'll see more of that as it does come through. It is currently 23 minutes past the top of the hour. You and I are still hanging out. Thank you for coming back and hanging out with us because I know that I was gone for a long period of time. And I mean, I'm sorry that I was gone. I really am. It wasn't a planned event that I said, hey, it's time for me to lose my voice, so I'm going to take a little swiggy and be gone. That's definitely not what happened at all. So let's talk about this because this has happened and this is not the segment that I like, but we need to talk about it. Ian Alexander, the only son of the actress Regina King, has died. Multiple outlets report that he took his life on Wednesday, which he was also as his 26th birthday. Louis Anderson has died. The comedian passed away in Las Vegas hospital where he was undergoing treatment to diffuse a large B-cell lymphoma, the most common type of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. He was 68. Meatloaf has died as well. The legendary rocker born Marvin Lee passed away on Thursday. A cause of death has not been shared as we speak. Don Wilson has died. The rhythm guitarist for the surf rock group The Ventures passed away on Saturday of natural causes. His family told People he was 88. Let's see. Popcorn Delights has died. The horse, which was one of the many that starred in 2003 film Seabiscuit, passed away on Thursday due to complications. So there you go. A lot of stuff going on there. I don't normally like talking about that portion, but hey, it's something that we need to talk about because it is real life. It is real life of what's going on. And of course, the part that I like the least, I guess we'll start talking about that here in just one moment.
Listen to our host of the Rated R Safety Show. Self-implode on our airwaves, only on Safety FM.
Okay, so here we go. Once again, we're in the swamperoo. An overwhelming majority of Republican voters are enthusiastic about voting in this November midterms. 61% of Republican respondents to the NBC News poll said that they are very interested in the fall election, while 47% of Democrats agree. Meanwhile, 70% of Americans say that the country will be able to come together at some point. Worth noting, if President Joe Biden's campaign is premised on the national unity, doesn't the metric make him failed president for his first year? I mean, does this mean that his presidency did not go too well for the first year? I mean, I guess that's something to think about just as a question. Let's see. Oklahoma State Representative Forrest Bennett announced late last week that he wanted to take on the pro-life movement ahead of the weekend's march for life in Washington, D.C. So he announced the bill if the state legislature coincides with the father of financial responsibility of his baby and their mother begins at the conception. If Oklahoma is going to restrict women's right to choose, we sure better make sure that the man involved can't just walk away from his responsibilities, he wrote on Twitter. Bonnet's expected to push back from the pro-life activists and conservatives who were instead vocally and fully on board with the ham-fisted attempt to stunt politics that totally backfired. By Saturday, Bennett announced that he would withdraw the bill. But Wade Bennett said that he was withdrawing the bill because of the upset that it causes the liberal fringe community, namely because it used language that implied only women can get pregnant and have babies and that men can't. And so lefty local reporter whined on Twitter, the bill would indictmentally punish poor people who aren't white. So there you go. A lot of information inside of that one. You know, this is why I don't like talking politics, because I feel like that sometimes it goes into places that we definitely don't need to be talking about. And we need to have a better understanding of what the guy was trying to attempt with the bill, opposed to it just being, hey, here's some information, partial information, and not really having a full understanding. And I don't care what side of the aisle you're on the left side, the right side, whatever. The wrong side, the middle side, you get the point. So anyways, let's start talking. Let's continue going. And I think it's time, because we're close enough. It is 27 minutes past the top of the hour. So maybe it is time to do that thing that we call a main story.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
So, as you know, and we've been talking and things have been going around and all that kind of fun stuff, we continue to see issues within the supply chain. We are seeing issues across the board about the supply chain of things that are going on across the world. And of course, supply chain issues are coming about, going through. We can name it on anything that you want. You can say it can be based on airplanes, it can be based on maritime, it can be based on truck drivers. So this morning, I figured that it would probably, or depending on when you're listening to this, during this segment, I figured that we would have the conversation of what is going on, of what is happening inside of the U.S. and how they want to resolve the problem. So if you did see the title of this, you might be going, so let's talk about that, because that's the portion that I'm here for. So what's going on? So if you did notice, the titling of this morning was CDL driver shortage. The solution could be a safety issue. And let me be very vague, which I was in the titling there. So let's be very vague as we're talking about this. Well, let's not be super vague. Let's just be vague enough that we can get some information going. But there has been something that the government would like to do here in the United States, a new rule that would potentially allow 18-year-olds to drive semi-trucks across state lines. So let's go with this. With the trucking industry facing a shortage of qualified drivers in the U.S., the U.S. government is setting up an apprenticeship program for younger truckers. The new program will allow people as young as 18 to drive big interstate semi-trucks. or semi-trucks, depending on how you want to take a look at it. The new program is coming online as the industry complains of driver shortages, which have gotten worse during the coronavirus pandemic. Last October, the head of the American Trucking Association said that the industry needed about 80,000 more drivers. Safety advocates, however, are objecting to the program, saying that it's potentially dangerous and is inexperienced drivers are, behind some of the control of the biggest and heaviest vehicles on the road. So there's some things to think about here as this is being brought up. So currently 49 states and the Washington, D.C. the Washington, D.C. give commercial driver's license to people under 21. Nick Gale, ATA Vice President of Workforce Policy, pointed out in a statement, these younger drivers can drive semi-trucks throughout their large states like California and Texas. He noted that they just can't carry across state lines. The new program will just take some of those drivers and train them to see how they can cross over the lines with the big rigs. Chris Spears, CEO of the trucking group, said that at the time in October that this program was needed and it would be to help alleviate the driver shortages. The ATA did not immediately respond to any kind of requests about what is going on with this new potentially enacted regulation. Under current federal regulation, only those who are 21 years of age are allowed to drive semi-trucks across state lines. The new Safe Driver Apprenticeship pilot program will allow people at least of the age of 18 and who have a state-issued commercial driver's license with a clean record to take the wheel of the interstate trucks under the direct supervision of an experienced driver. The program was proposed by the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration in September of 2020, but it wasn't implemented at the time. The Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act signed into law this past November required the creation of the new program, though. The program will soon become operational according to a notice in the Federal Registry. The FMCSA will issue a specific exception to the normal age restriction for each younger driver admitted to the program. The trucks must be used with the program required to have certain safety technology. So this is where it gets a little bit interesting. So take a listen. Including to automatic emergency braking, forward-facing video cameras, and a top speed automatically limiter to 65 miles per hour. Apprentices drivers will not be allowed to drive trucks with more than one trailer or trucks carrying hazardous materials. The experienced driver must be at least 26 years of age and have at least 5 years experience as driving semi-trucks. The supervising driver is also required to have 2 years of incident-free driving, no crashes or tickets, before training a new or younger driver. The Truck Safety Coalition has publicly objected to the program since the first proposed, citing hazard-possessed teen drivers. Think about that. As it's saying that because they're referencing the age demo. We'd like to see the Transportation Secretary Pete demonstrate genuine commitment to safety and publicly commit to terminating the program under his authority as the DOT secretary after his first fatality or serious injury. Truck Safety Coalition Executive Director Director Zach said. The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety shared the statistics from the University of Michigan study indicating that a 500% increase in injury crashes for truck drivers younger than 21 compared to the truck drivers overall. It makes no sense to put the most dangerous driving population behind the wheel of an 80,000-pound rig. Okay, apprentice drivers could complete the program well before they reach their age of 21 or their 21st birthday, they said, and could get behind the wheel of a semi-truck without any of the safety equipment required for the program. They're also on the ways to deal with the driver shortage, such as making the jobs more appealing by increasing the pay and reducing driving hours. So I have to tell you, so the solution here is an apprenticeship. It is potentially changing the way that business is currently done. It is changing the way of things happening. Now, I will tell you, I have spent a lot of my career in this segment And I will tell you, it has to become extremely interesting. Now, I want to tell you some of the pros and some of the cons. So there is interstate and intrastate driving, which there's a huge difference. Intrastate meaning you can only be inside of the state, and interstate meaning you want to go across state lines. So it becomes a very interesting arrangement. It becomes one of those things that, okay, you normally have to be of a certain age demographic to be able to go across state lines. Now we're talking about 18-year-olds being able to do the exact same thing. So why is it okay for them to drive in-state and not intrastate but not interstate? Good question. Just the way that things have been set up. So now we're talking about that now that they potentially have certain amount of mileage that they can drive, because we're talking about roughly 150 miles or less, normally when the intrastate stuff that we're talking about at that age, but that's a whole other conversation we can get into. So is it going to solve the issue? I don't know. Is that going to really be the solution? I don't know. My crystal ball isn't working today, so I can't really answer those questions. But here's the things to think about. If all of these things that they're wanting to put inside of there, such as a forward-facing camera, emergency braking to help the driver. So now we're talking about some level of AI being involved inside of the process. So it's the eyes in the sky. It is the people taking care and taking a look at what is going on. So I have experience with some of these cameras, and some of these cameras start a beeping sound to let you know that something has went wrong, just the way that it has worked in the past. Not sure if this is going to be part of what they're saying in the future, but it doesn't sound like it is or it isn't. So let's make the assumption that it is. What's going to happen then? So now all of a sudden you have something else to distract you by because you have that forward-facing camera. So is it going to have an inner-facing camera inside of the cab of the vehicle? That's something else to talk about. That's something else to give some consideration to. Because if that's the case, how distracted are they going to be with that? Especially if it's going off. But here's the caveat. So let's say, for instance, they make it to the next level. They go through 3 years of this. Will there be dependency on these forward-facing cameras and emergency braking systems? Because is that going to change the driver experience? Just because it's a pro now, it could be a con later. Because now, all of a sudden, when you move into another vehicle that might not have some of these prestigious things, then what happens? Then how does that look? Because when you start becoming reliable on a certain system, normally that reliability is something that sticks with you. It's going to be something interesting to think about. It's definitely, don't get me wrong, I understand the driver shortage. I understand that something needs to be done. But there are some other ventures around that. And then we started talking about that they are only able to drive single trailer vehicles. Is that a good or a bad thing? Does that help commerce? Or does it make it one of those things where you still have to go out there and source more? There's too many questions when it comes to this. And I would hate to sit here and alienate an age demographic. I would hate to sit here and go, oh no, if you're between the ages of 18 and 20, you should not be driving. That's not something to say. Everything is different case by case. You know that, and I know that. Think about the safest driver that you know that's 18 years of age. Can you? And would you feel comfortable if they were driving an 80,000-pound vehicle directly behind you? Something to think about. But then again, would you feel comfortable with anybody driving an 80,000-pound vehicle directly behind you? I don't know. I think there's more questions than answers at this particular moment. But what do I know? Like I always like to say, I'm just a guy behind a microphone.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
Hey, are you tired of hanging around and talking about safety in a boring kind of format? Well, I got something for you. If you haven't hung out with us yet at safetyfm.com, I'm going to encourage you to do so. Yeah, if you come out to Safety FM, you can come hang out with all kinds of safety professionals. Some are safety professionals, some are just people that are talking about safety. But we want to do it in a format that makes it fun and entertaining. If you're kind of trying to figure out what the FM portion is, Well, we're a radio station and also a podcast network. You can come out, hang out, and listen to my show, The Jay Allen Show. You can listen to Todd Conklin with the pre-accident investigation, Blaine J. Hoffman with the Safety Pro, the Hop Nerd, Sam Goodman, just to name a few on what can be found on the station. Different things for different people, trying to bring safety in an entertaining form. SafetyFM.com. Go to the website, download the app, and carry it with you all day long. SafetyFM.com. We'll be waiting for you.
I spend a lot of time in the backyard, and I'm the center of attention at summer barbecues. In '96, I made some of the tastiest s'mores. And in '09, it was me, your backyard fire pit, that accidentally started a wildfire when a summer breeze carried one of my embers into some dry brush.
Spark a change, not a wildfire. Visit SmokeyBear.com. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. But he's a part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. No time for tired. Nothing can disable this love. He needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
What if I told you that a tornado was going to happen tomorrow, right where you live? That it would touch down at exactly 3:17 p.m., and I told you the exact path it would take. You would, of course, prepare. You would talk with your loved ones, and you'd make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you a tornado will strike tomorrow, but shouldn't you have a plan anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. You can make a difference by dropping off a hot meal and saying a quick hello. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
You know how sometimes in life you have those moments of shoulda, coulda, woulda, you know what I'm talking about. It happens all the time to people. So let's talk about that very sensitive subject of male pattern baldness. Don't go through that moment where you're going, I shoulda, coulda, woulda. Let's talk about my friends at Keeps. 2 out of 3 men experience some form of hair loss by the time they are 35. With more than 50 million men in the U.S. suffer from male pattern baldness. You don't have to be one of them. Think about this. There are only 2 FDA-approved medications that can prevent hair loss, and my friends at Keeps offer both. Keeps offers simple, stress-free way for you to keep your hair. Convenient virtual doctor's consultations and medication delivered straight to your door. I mean, I have to tell you, just for the whole sake of not having to leave your house to have the consultation, that should sell itself. But the low-cost treatments start just as low as $10 per month, and Keeps offers generic versions. Discreet packaging and proven results. Keeps has more 5-star reviews than any of its competitors. I want you to think about that. People love the product. Prevention is key. Treatment can take 4 to 6 months to see results, so act fast. All you have to do to take action to prevent hair loss is to go to keeps.com. That's KEEPS.com/safety. to receive your first month of treatment for free. That's keeps.com, KEEPS.com/safety to get your first month free. That's KEEPS.com/safety. Remember, not everybody has such a beautiful head as mine. So don't be saying coulda, shoulda, woulda. Act on Keeps right now.
You do not faze me, boy, I do not give a fuck what you did. Eating that kitty, she stuck to my rib. How can I trust him, he fuck with the pigs? Bro got a Glock and a couple of cigs. He think about splitting a couple of wigs. big. Shotty my DNA, all real nigga. Sweatsuit, all heel figure. And I ain't even got a deal with you. If I ain't never split a bill with you, I got Hennessy and horchata. Baby girl wearing nada. Ass growing from a cider. Bathrobe in his Prada. Fiji water by the cold glass. Granddaddy by the Ziploc. Flex season, I'm road running. I'm staying all on my tip top. Young man with an old mind, so I ain't worried about slice.
Hey now.
I be up till sunrise.
Okay, that's See-Through by Xavi Rusin.
Bourbon, a bundle of honeys, I'm jiggy, I'm flexing.
The song's readily available on Spotify and iTunes.
Came from the gutter with me and my brother. I'm moving my mother right out of the city. Bitch, I'm a star.
So, if you want to download it, feel free to do so. Thanks you for Xavi Rusin for allowing us to play this one here on the Rated R Safety Show.
Back, I'ma line them up like bingo. Oh, I think that they like me. They be all in my wood tip.
Anyways, 45 minutes past the top of the hour, and we still got a lot to do. So let's go ahead and do that.
Hold up, what's the problem? I'm pulled up. Big flex, my swole up. Hard body, they fold up. Shorty say I done glowed up. Double text on my phone up. Baby girl, love my bop and
Oh, there you go. So, anyways, I will tell you, I have definitely missed my time with you. That's for sure, over the last little bit. So I apologize once again. But hey, we're here now, and my voice, as you can see, is still shot, but it's getting better. So let's see how this goes. Anyways, let's talk about some things. Video calls. People might be interested in this. Major League Baseball has announced that robot umpires will be used next season in AAA leagues. A big step towards eventually using automated strike zones in the majors. MLB and the Cat is out of the bag by posting notice that the websites are seeking employees to operate automated ball strike systems for the teams in Albuquerque and Las Vegas. This comes 2 years after the Independent Atlantic League became the first American pro baseball league to let computer calls balls and strikes. It's something that many players and fans have been calling for forever because it would eliminate inconsistent strike zones between the umpires and by the same umpires running inning by inning and from pitch to pitch. MLB said that the robot umps will be used in some spring training ballparks. So there you go. This, of course, means that if we even have a next season, so that's something to think about. The only problem is that now there will be a TV announcer who spends half of the night complaining about. So the announcers always say all players ask if the call can be consistent. Hogwash. All they ask is for some to be called correct. So we'll see how that ends up going in the future. Pennsylvania high school football player team swapped weight training practice with snow shoveling for the neighbors in need. Bethel Park High School football coach Brian Delatlo said that the 40 athletes shoveled driveways last Monday after a storm hit the area. His tweet read, due to experience severe weather, Monday's weightlifting workouts will be canceled. Find an elderly or disabled neighborhood and shovel their driveway. Don't accept any money. That's our Monday workout. He said that having the athletes shovel driveways will also be the chance to interact with the community, which is the big supporters of the high school sports and big supporters of free driveway clearing. So, I think I would be pretty excited too if I lived in a snow-filled place and some young buck would like to go out there and actually take care of the driveway for me. So I get it, believe me. Anyways, the dog was saved thanks to a sausage, and a drone. Poor Millie the dog went missing went for a walk in southern England. Volunteer organized a dim drone search and rescue, set up a drone to track her, and found that her out of a dangerous mud flaps that could be a flood during a high tide. Police fire and services. And the Coast Guard coax nervous to find the pup and bring it to safety. But after 3 days, a volunteer came up with a last-ditch idea: sausage on a string and a drone. I guess that's one way to do it. The sausage were fried and the drone went aloft. With a sweet, hungry Millie followed, where brought her back to the flats for safety. It turns out there was something that the sausage can't do. They can't even do bacon. I mean, that's something to think about. I mean, I would think the bacon would be the better choice to go here, but I guess I am wrong. What do I know? What do I know? Anyway, so let's start talking real quick about some other things. Maybe it's time to see if we can get you motivated, see if I can catch my voice real quick, and let's bring John in one more time for this.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. Today's quote has been submitted by Marcy. George Washington Carver said, "Education is the key to unlock the golden door of freedom." I love that quote. Now, some people may think it only applies to a formal education from a university or a college, but I have witnessed firsthand that that's not always the case. I have a friend with a master's degree from a university, and he struggles to find work. Then I have another friend who's a self-starter with no formal degree, but a zest to learn constantly. It's always amazed me how simple it is for him to not only get amazing opportunities, but to continue to advance. So keep learning and add to your education always. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Your Wellness Minute is brought to you by AlessaMorgan.com. Running versus cycling. Both give you great benefits for physical fitness, but which one is better specifically for fat loss? Turns out, according to analysis of numerous studies, there is a major difference in how these two exercises impact fat loss. Running was found to lead to a 37% higher post-exercise oxygen consumption rate, which prolongs fat-burning process. Additionally, running inhibits body from using carbs for fuel and instead switches to fatty acid utilization. In other words, using the fat stored in the body, which is what we want for fat loss. Running also triggers higher adrenaline, epinephrine, and norepinephrine response, and that is conducive to burning of visceral fat or the fat that surrounds the organs. The abdomen has more receptors for these stressors, which is again really good news for fat loss. For additional resources, check out alessamorgan.com.
Radio.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Okay, there you go. 51 minutes past the top of the hour as we are hanging out here on RadioBig.fm and SafetyFM.com. Anyways, let me tell you about the most important thing that I will tell you during this in any show that you get to hear me on. Let me tell you about my friends at the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Whether you have struggled with suicide yourself or you've lost a loved one, know that you're not alone. Hear about personal experiences from people in your local communities whose lives have been impacted by suicide and depression. To find out more information, all you have to do is go 1-800-273-8255. That's 1-800-273-8255, or text the word TALK to 741-741. Or you can go to afsp.org. That's afsp.org. for, of course, to find out more information. Keep in mind that you never know when this might be useful information for you, or you might know someone who could actually do well with this information. It can even tell you on how to learn about mental health during these times of COVID, so think about that as well. Like I said, most important thing that I'll tell you during the whole show. That's for sure. So let's talk about this. Should we talk about this? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it from the bottom to the top and the top to the bottom. TripAdvisor's top destinations for 2022. The travel platform's highest rated, most loved in overall places for the year that people have been looking at. Let's give you from number 9 to number 1. So let's do it that way. At number 9, Paris, France. At number 8, Istanbul, Turkey. At number 7, Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. At number 6, Rome, Italy. At number 5, Greece. At number 4, Bali, Indonesia. At number 3, Cancun, Mexico. At number 2, London, United Kingdom. And at the number 1 spot was Dubai, UAE. Why? Dubai is the ultra-modern city that has it all. Golden beaches, world-class dining, gorgeous hotels, to rank in the world's I guess best means of destination has obtained a stellar travelers review and across, all tourism sectors. So I guess that is something that people are looking for after all these lockdown times, which I get it. I mean, I really do. I really do get it. So there's some things to think about. So if you're looking at some places to travel, maybe that is some places to give some consideration to if you're so encouraged to do so. Anyways, let's talk about some other things real quick. No winner for Friday night's Mega Million drawing. Tuesday's drawing will be for $396 million or a $273 million cash payout. So there you go. If you want to play the game, you got some time to do so. What else do we got going on? Should we talk about OJ? Yeah. OJ Simpson was spotted at a local watering hole in Florida on Sunday watching the Buccaneers take on the Rams. Eyewitnesses told TMZ that the fellow Patriots were gushing over the former NFLer. The outing was quite possibly the first one for Simpson, who recently moved to the Sunshine State after being released from his parole in Nevada. So there you go. What else do we got around here? What else? Let's talk about some sports because some people are going to care about this because it's so close to the Super Bowl. Not something that we normally dive into, but we'll talk about it. NFL playoff weekend recap. So let's talk about that. The Cincinnati Bengals beat the Tennessee Titans 19-16. San Francisco 49ers took down the Green Bay Packers 13-10. The Los Angeles Rams bested the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 30-27, and the Kansas City Chiefs beat the Buffalo Bills in overtime 42-36. So here's what you're going to see coming up next. The AFC Championship game will be the Bengals at the Chiefs, and the NFC Championship game will be the 49ers at the Rams. So there you go. One of those four teams will be making it to the Super Bowl. So there you go, Captain Obvious. Nothing else could be said there. Anyways, let's talk about some things that happened back on this date. Let's see. Back in 2018, former U.S. Olympic team doctor Larry Nassar, who was found guilty of molesting over 150 girls, is sentenced to 40 to 175 years in Michigan State Prison. That is in addition to the 60 years received from federal child pornography charges from the previous year. So there you go. That happened back in 2018. Birthdays for today. Henry Ruggs turns 23. James Kennedy, 30. Misha Barton, 36. Frankie Grande, 39. David Diggs, 40. Tayana Ali, 43. Ed Helms turns 48, Kenya Moore turns 51, Matthew Lillard turns 52, and Neil Diamond turns 81 today. So there you go. If you're looking for some reasons to celebrate today, I got a couple of those for you. Well, probably a little bit more than a couple, but Beer Can Appreciation Day, National Compliment Day, National Peanut Butter Day, and Global Belly Laugh Day. Belly laughs are the best. Think about it that way. Anyways, at the top of the hour, I will be going over to radiobig.fm if you want to come and hang out with me as we are hanging out, doing some musica, catching up on the meantimes of some things that are, been going off over the last little bit. So that will always be fun as we can do some of those things. Let's talk about some whack factor real quick before we get you out of here. Hot water freezes faster than cold water. The violin contains about 70 separate pieces of wood. NASA accidentally erased the original tape of the first steps on the moon. Camels store water in their bloodstream, not in just their hump, which is fatty tissue. Billy goats try to attack a mate by urinating on their heads. So I guess that's something to really think about. If it's kind of one of those weird things you were looking for a reason to think about, there you go. That's for sure. Anyways, let's do this. If you need a random joke for today, technically, pretty much every orchestra in the 1800s cover band. If you need a phone starter for today, try this one. Poorly describe what you do for a living. And well, we'll see if you can guess what my job is. If you need something for the water cooler, you can try this one. Question. 15% of people say that when it comes to tech products, they would rather give this up than social media. What is it? Netflix. And I guess with the price increase of Netflix, that's something else to think about, but we can have that conversation for a totally different day. Anyways, you've been listening to the Rated R Safety Show exclusively on radiobig.fm and safetyfm.com. Without you, we can't do what we do around here. Seriously. You're the best part of what we have going on, and you are the listener. In some cases, you might even be the viewer. So thank you for coming out, taking a listen, taking a hang, and all that kind of fun stuff. Like I said, if you want to, you can feel free on coming over to radiobig.fm to come and hang out and take a listen to what we have going on for the rest of the day. Or you can keep it here on safetyfm.com and take a listen to what we have going on inside of the world of the safety. If I can leave you with a thought for today, I would love to leave you with this one. The joy that isn't shared dies young. Think about that. Well, anyways, thank you for taking a listen. I know who you are. You know who I am.
Duh.
Love you, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.